Hey guys, it's Frank Oz here. And first of all, let me introduce you to the people here. First of all, it's Victoria Labalme,
Hi.
and it's Leslie Converse,
Hello.
and it's Zana Bokar. Zana is frozen.
Yeah, we're having some technical
Either
difficulties
Zana
on
is
her
frozen,
side.
is frozen, or she's miffed at me, not answering.
I think we have to start again because we're now live. So let's.
Oh, we're now live? Okay.
Take two.
There you go.
So this is Frank Oz. Hi, guys. And the people around me are Victoria Labalme
Hi.
and Leslie Converse
Hello.
and Zana Bokar. Zana, are you there?
I think she's frozen.
She's frozen. So she's either frozen or she's an amazing statue. And Abby?
Hello.
So we'll figure out the Zana situation because she doesn't actually look like that all the time. She's not catatonic like that all the time. She's now frozen. She will unfreeze. The reason I'm here is because, we're thinking about, Victoria was talking about, we're going to give 3 secrets of Frank Oz. And I'm saying, who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. But I think it was kind of cool is that I said, let's talk about something that's important, which is the people behind the Muppet guys talking and shooting and production and launch. Okay. And they are women, and which we all know, all men know, are smarter and stronger than us. So let me introduce a little bit of time and I'll start asking questions. Okay. And I think we have questions coming in too. So Victoria Labalme
Yes. Hello.
is the one who conceived Muppet Guys Talking. And she's also a producer with me, and she is the launch leader. Leslie Converse, who has been my associate for so many years and is brilliant, and she is a project manager. And co-producer, I apologize, and co-producer. And Zana has left us. She's probably tired of this whole thing. So we'll get her in a second, but Zana's our editor. Abby is, Abby Woodcock, sorry. Abby is our copywriter for the launch period. And that's who we are. Now, I wanted to let people know that I'm the guy who always gets the credit. I'm in front of camera, but there's a lot of guys, but also women, and the women are actually in charge this time, which actually is the reason why things are working well. So I'm going to just start asking questions, okay? And I'm going to start with Victoria. And it was her idea. So Victoria, when you told me you wanted to shoot this documentary, why was it so important to you?
Well, first, I felt like the 5 of you together talking had never been recorded before, that I was in a position, lucky enough, to be able to witness these interactions, the dynamic among you, the playfulness, the camaraderie, the listening, the respect, and among all that, all these incredible stories about the Muppets and Jim Henson, and I just thought I shouldn't be the only one hearing these. And quite honestly, I don't think we ever really thought of it as necessarily a documentary. I just said this should be recorded. We'll figure out what we're going to do with it. And Leslie, you remember this going way back. We weren't sure if we were going to chop it into a series or a web series or a TV series or a full-length documentary. So Zana can also speak to that. But I just knew somehow this should be recorded before it was too late.
Yeah, exactly. Leslie, let me read here. Although your experience has been in film as a writer of your own films, a post-production supervisor, associate producer, and co-producer on film budgets in the tens of millions of dollars, did you approach working on MGT differently as project manager? Is that what you told me to say?
He's being so terrible here because Leslie has no idea this question.
That's my question. No, Leslie has been all those things and is all those things. But did you approach it differently?
Not really. Both. There was the film itself that we shot, and that was pretty standard filmmaking. And then it was a new path for me. The whole land of finding a way to bring it to people directly, and the whole delivery side of things. Normally, I package a film, get it all tied up and send it off to the studio.
Could you explain package film? People don't really understand that.
Oh, well, it's just the whole post-production process. You're, on top of the budget and the schedule and making sure that things are happening through, the picture finishing, sound finishing, any music. And then the final finishing from your DI to your sound mix and printing your deliverables. It's not printing anymore. That's my film side showing, but and handing the finished product over to whoever's going to distribute it. And in this case, we were distributing it ourselves, which meant there was a lot of new stuff to learn and things that normally happen very far downstream of me that were suddenly on my plate. So, but it was wildly educational, and the whole building the website, internet side of things, and working to create a community and a group with email and on social media, that was definitely all new to me. But what an amazing education it's been. So, but now approaching it, it's still about just finding out what needs to be done and keeping the communication flowing well between departments so it gets done.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the same.
I want to say, without Leslie, this film would not have happened.
Oh.
I think it's one thing in life to have a creative idea, which I did, and then to be able to tap into such a huge community of people who are interested in this, and not just Muppets fans, but creatives, entrepreneurs, people that are trying to do good work with a team, lead a company, learn from Jim's style of leadership. I had this idea. Leslie's the one who moved it forward and said, all right, when are we shooting? How are we going to get this done? Who are the camera people we're hiring? She made it happen.
There's no way we could have done it without Leslie. So Abby, now you're kind of the new kid on the block. You joined in January for the launch, because not the production. So you've been since January. And do you remember what your reaction was when we showed you the movie, and also when we asked you to come on board as copywriter?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I had heard about this project last year. Victoria and I are connected in a few different ways. And I had heard about the project, and I thought, what a cool endeavor, because as a creative person, to see behind the creative process like that of, these iconic characters that I knew growing up was so exciting. And then when I got to see the film, it was incredible, because although it's different avenues, so I do a lot of writing, and this was a performance avenue, there were so many lessons in the film that I took away of how to do it better. And then, when you guys asked me to come on board, I was thrilled. And it's just been a really exciting process, not only with our team being amazing, but the community. I've never worked on a project where there was such a enthusiastic community behind what we were doing. So it's been really great.
Yeah, we're really blessed with that community. I would like to ask Xana questions as the editor who worked for years on this, but she's not there. So I'll ask her a question and answer myself. Xana,
and just while you're about to ask that, I do want to encourage the audience, all of you who are watching, please feel free to type in some questions. We're going to do our best to get to some of those. So feel free to ask them as we're going, or comment along the way. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
I do think Xana's on the phone, so we won't be able to see her answer, but she can respond.
You just
Xana,
can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I was just going to ask you a question, Xana. Ask how it was to work with me, and then I was going to answer it and say how brilliant I was and everything. But now that you're on the phone, I can't do that. So Xana, are you hearing me?
I hear you.
Okay. Except for working with me, what was the most challenging part of the editing?
Well, I think the hardest part was the fact that we had so much good footage, and we had to cut it down to something that was actually the length of a movie and not, the Odyssey. So I think picking out the best parts and then figuring out how to put them together in something coherent and cohesive was probably the most challenging part, aside from, working with you.
Thank you. I know I'm the person who only asks questions, but I will say that people often look at my work or somebody else's work and say, "Oh, they must have been perfect." I can't tell you how many times Xana and I looked at each other and said, "Oh, this is never going to work. This is never going to work." With Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, I looked at and think, "Oh, this is never going to be funny." So understand that when we talk like this, it's as the same struggle that everybody else has had, which is a roller coaster of highs and lows. Okay, Victoria. Let me ask you a question. What is your idea to do this? And I said no to you for reasons that people know, which is I didn't think it'd be interesting to people. What was going through your head for all those months that I was saying no, and you were trying to make it happen?
Well, you know, I think we've all had times in life when we have an idea that we have belief in, and for whatever reason, it's not recognized. And I think that's a sub message to this film too, to kind of stick with your ideas. I really encourage you each to do that, whatever that is. And it's what Jim did, and you'll see this in the film. It's what people did there, and it's that inner knowing that you think this is worth holding on to. And little by little, I know Leslie came on board early. She said, let's do this. And I think, I honestly can't remember which one of the performers said, I think that would be good. But you know, you find the people who see your vision. And even if they don't see it exactly the way you see it at the start, that come on board to help you. And those are the people you want to bring into your life. And I think eventually, and this is a great tribute to Frank, he said no, but eventually he said, okay, I'll do it. And he did it for different reasons. He wanted to give the performers their fair exposure, because these guys are brilliant and they don't get the attention that they deserve. I, of course, wanted it to be made for a larger audience. And that's something I believe in. When your pure reason is there, you know, it wasn't about me, it wasn't about Frank, it was about the audience, it was about all of you, it was about helping people understand the brilliance of Jim's leadership, his genius. For creatives, as I said earlier, anyone who's trying to do good work, that was the driving force, what I call the through line. That was the driving force. And because of that, it kept me going even through the hard times.
Okay, but when I kept on saying no, what were you thinking? How frustrated you must have been. I mean, what were you thinking?
Well, you know, we had a lot of that in this project, and Leslie can attest to that, and maybe even Abby and Xana. You know, there are times when Frank would say no, and I know when we were editing, and you'll see this in the film, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, it's an awesome ending. I won't give it away, but there was something that we put at the end that Xana, I think Xana and Leslie shaking her head, we were saying, you got to put this in, because it's that ending that really shows the way they work together, the humor, the speed of their thinking. And Frank was going, no, I am not putting that in. We're like, you have to put it in. And he was adamant. And we went through cut after cut with it not in, right, Leslie?
Oh my God, yes.
It took 5 years.
It took more time than anybody. Pardon, Abby?
I was just going to say, even though I wasn't part of the editing, I think that's been part of the whole creative process of this project from start to finish and I think that's the spirit of the film as well, is we all had different perspectives on the best way to do things. And there was, even through the marketing part of it, a lot of heated discussions about what the next step was. And I think that was a testament to the team and the spirit of Jim and the Muppets that infiltrated this team of, even though we all had different perspectives, we all looked at everyone and thought, okay, what's best for the film? Not is my idea the best, but which one is gonna be true for us and best for us. And it's been a project. There's very few teams that work like this, and I think the spirit of the film came through in our work together.
I think so. Spirit of Jim also, yeah. Hey, Leslie.
Yeah.
I know you said it was about the same thing as film. I know that, and you've done a lot of big films with me and with Steven Soderbergh and everybody else. But even though it was the same, what were some of the surprises that happened during the actual production, not the launch, but the production of such a cheap, down and dirty film that surprised you?
Well, I think the best thing was just how many people were willing to donate their time. I mean, we could never have gotten it done on the kind of budget that we had for it if we didn't have so many people who were just so willing to help. They were excited by the project and they just said, sign me up. And that was amazing. You know, I mean, you don't see that on every film project every day. So that would definitely have been the most, and just the whole spirit of the whole thing. It was fun, and having the guy, I mean, it was a lot of fun and a lot of work for one very special day, but boy, was it worth it.
Yeah. And Xana, we've been working on it for years. And let me ask you something. People may want to know, why did it take so long to edit? Why couldn't we work on it every day? And what was your experience before editing before MGT? All those things.
Well, I work as an assistant editor in films and television. So over the course of when we were working on MGT, I worked on 5 other feature films. So I had a day job as an assistant editor where I could, get health insurance and stuff. And then we worked after that, after work at night and on the weekends. So part of what took so long was just my time, splitting between the two. And then also just, we went through so many versions of what is this going to be. That, we had a version where, remember, Frank, where we had chapters?
Yeah.
Like we had, like we just did so many different iterations of it, that we just had to try things for years until we found something that worked.
Yeah, exactly right. It was a long time. Okay, Abby. Now here's an area that I don't know, so I actually had to write this down because I'm a quasi-Luddite. Okay, but you've been watching private Facebook group that people get to be in when they get the below stage pass. Can you give some insight into what that community is like, and what makes it so special, and what the hell the below stage pass is, which was your idea, and I have no idea what it means still.
Yeah. So the below stage pass is an experience like a backstage pass, and I thought that we came up with a few different iterations of. We knew we wanted the opportunity to give the community more than just the film, although the film by itself alone is extremely valuable. We knew that our community wanted more interaction, place to be together, and a little bit more. So thought about the idea of a backstage pass and what you get, and then as I was watching the film and watching some of the footage, I thought, well, they're not backstage at all, they're below the stage, so it would be a kind of fun play, and we went back and forth on that. But now actually seeing it come to life, it's been even better than I had pictured in the beginning. Of the community, which I believe there's around 200 members now. It's, on the internet, whatever community you're in tends to have, well, it's the internet, we'll put it that way. But this community has been completely different, where, so part of my job was moderating that, and just looking, and we had discussions on what that would be like and setting community guidelines. And I have not had to do anything. Everyone is just so wonderful. It's just a group of people that are enthusiastic about what we're doing, about what the film is, and about the Muppet culture as a whole. It's just become an amazing place. It's only a few days old, and I'm really excited to see as it grows, really the potential of it being a really great place for people that are passionate not just about the Muppets, but about the bigger culture of it.
That's exactly right. I was looking at it this morning, and it's so heartwarming. People are sharing pictures they have or stories, or asking questions about a particular bit. And everyone, as Abby said, is, they're jumping in and sharing, and there's such enthusiasm. So Jesse Oliver, who's in there, said, "I'm just joined, and I'm having so much fun being a part of it." And it's a place to join.
Well, let me ask you something which I'm curious about. When I work in movies, it's always the guys who are producers, directors, all that stuff. And and have you guys, knowing that you're really more in charge than us, have you guys found that at all difficult to talk to us as men, and also a lot of great consultants, both women and men? But the men, you've had to sometimes really be a little tough to move us on, because I'd be happy to go to the refrigerator and drink some grapefruit juice as opposed to continuing on. So did you find it difficult to be a little tough sometimes to me, which I welcome, and to other guys? And did all of us guys, did we have any problems with us listening to you guys? That's for all of you, especially Victoria.
Well, I think the spirit of Jim Henson really came through this project, as we said earlier. I mean, this is a type of community, a group, really a team that is drawn by the values, of collaboration. A ton of background noise, so who's ever moving, just if maybe that's you, Frank. Sweet.
I think that's Frank.
No,
it's your hands. Yeah, exactly.
Not to do.
This is why men are not allowed to be in charge here.
Or near computers.
And I realize I just unconsciously blurted out the word "sweetie." So for those of you watching who don't know,
We're having an affair.
We're married.
We're married.
But what I was saying before the rustling of papers began is that we all are drawn by the same intention here. And that's really representative in the themes of the project. You'll see that in the film, the collaborative spirit, the risk-taking, the playfulness. And so I think that's really come through everyone that we've picked. And I've been really careful about who we've brought into this team. And some people were not the right fit. And the guys, we should just give a shout out right now to Larry Sullivan and David Bullock, who are behind the scenes right now helping with the technology. these guys are awesome, and they're even tempered, they're open-minded, they're professionals. They don't have a big ego that they're going to walk in the room and throw their weight around. They're just incredibly open, and that's the type of person we wanted. People who are professional, people without big egos, people who wanted, as Abby said earlier, the best for the project. And so I think the team spirit has been like that from the beginning.
Leslie, how about you? Have you had any problems with, you work with me for so many years.
Yeah, do you really want me to answer?
Leslie's worked with me on how many movies? She's been my secret weapon. But have you found it difficult? Because you had to push as a project manager. You had to. And actually, I've asked you to push, and Victoria's asked you to push.
Sure.
Have you had any problems as a woman pushing us guys, a lot of us guys?
Well, never having been a man, I don't have a basis for comparison, but...
No, but what you do have a basis of is in some of the shoots you've done over the years, men don't always necessarily listen to women in the business we're in, the big Hollywood business.
I've been pretty fortunate, though. I haven't ever had a bad encounter around that, although I do think I remember one script meeting on a project with you when we were discussing casting of certain actors for a role, and I sort of said that, well, that guy was sexy, and the producer next to me turned and said, well, that's because you're intelligent, and immediately cut off the rest of my input to the conversation. But yeah, but that's the sort of only thing I've ever encountered. Like I said, I've been very fortunate in that regard. You are usually good about listening. Sometimes I have to jump up and down and scream a lot and go a little hoarse, but you usually come around. So no problems there. And the guys are just fantastic, as you'll see. They're just, incredibly warm, giving, generous people. And of course, Fran's in there too. And I've known her for I don't want to say how many years, from back in the days when I worked at Jim Henson Productions and did a little production coordination for Sesame Street. So,
Abby, have you experienced anything at all untoward with us guys?
And more than the male-female thing, it's like I said earlier, the spirit of collaboration that's in the team and in the film. You're always worried when you come into a new team, especially a cohesive team, which is what I did, came into this project later than a lot of you. And you always wonder how it's going to be when you're put your opinion forward. And not having experience in film, that was another thing that I was worried about. But it was really interesting because I joke a lot. Our PR guy, John, who's fantastic, we have two very differing perspectives on the best way to move forward. And because he comes from PR and film and I come from internet launches and copywriting, but it was always, even when we disagreed, it was this level of respect for what we brought to the table. And I got that through the whole team, and I never felt a male-female tension or even we're at this level of the project and you're at this level, or you're the new person. And even from the guys, the conversation that we've had in the guys, like when I saw the film, I was thinking, is that really, how it is? I wonder if but then you interact with them and with the team and you see that, yes, there's people out there and there's teams that can function this way. And it's been really amazing that even when you disagree and vehemently disagree, that you can still have respect for each other. So.
And that's what that's what Victoria wanted the movie to be all about, for people to, and as a result, I switched to her reasoning besides my reasoning, and let the people know in the world that actually people can work like this. Xana, as far as working with men, unfortunately, in this project, it's me. So
you were the one, yeah.
Are you gonna kind of break the bubble here?
No, we never had any issues because of that. If anything, it was because I was wrong or you were wrong.
It wasn't that you were a man, it was just that you were wrong. That's all.
Xana is so flexible and worked so hard. And it was I have such appreciation to her. But it's true. I was the guy around, so at least I didn't scream and yell. That's good.
You were in the minority.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay. Another is I'll go back to Victoria again. Just talking about the film, because you didn't do it for Muppet fans because you were never a Muppet fan in the first place. So what do you think non-Muppet fans would get out of this? That Muppet fans would certainly come for the characters, and we have a lot of clips of the characters, and it's very funny, but what about the people what was your intent for people who are not Muppet fans?
Well, I want to answer that by reading some comments that have come in from people who've seen the film, because they can
Great.
say it better than me. And this
Great.
morning, just before this call, I printed up some pages from all these different comments. We have comments after, I mean, it's just incredible. There are literally hundreds of comments. And this one came in yesterday. It says, it's from Gabrielle Velez. So Gabrielle, if you hear this, this is for you and everyone. Oh, wait. Well, I'll read that one and then I'll read this next one. So Gabrielle said, the way this was filmed, a main camera and the cameras behind the Muppeteers at their eye level gives the sensation that you are the sixth person on the couch. And that's one of the things I wanted to do, is I wanted to give everyone the opportunity to be in the room with these guys. So the way Frank filmed it and set it up was so that you as a viewer can really feel like you're there. And then Gabrielle continues, you feel that you're part of the conversation. Even during the momentary coffee break, which you'll see in the film, one feels you are part of the break too. I just wish I had a cup of coffee as well. Mm-hmm. It was great hearing the stories and the laughs. Thank you, Frank, and the team for documenting this. So that's the first thing, is I really wanted people to be in my shoes, to be able to be there to experience everything that I was fortunate enough to. And I think we have achieved that. And that's also what we're going to do with this Below Stage Pass, a chance for people to be on a call like this, not necessarily on video with us, but to be there right here like this with the four guys. And that's coming up in April. So that's a really special experience. It's sort of like MGT Live, like Muppet Guys Talking Live, happening right there with you. And let me read one more comment to answer this question from you, Frank. And that was this. The person wrote, loved it, a revelation. Every actor, screenwriter, comedian, creative person should absorb the truth of this piece. I will forever be changed for the better at my approach to my next project because of knowing the process and the history of your work. It also shows the triumph of the human spirit. Thank you. I will keep this in my pocket wherever I go.
Oh, how sweet. How wonderful.
Yeah, and there's just one more here, and I'm sorry, but this will really give you an opportunity to see how it's touching people. The last one that I want to read is, thank you, Muppet team. That's everyone here and all the people who helped in this project, including Larry and David and many, many, many more. Thank you, Muppet team, for bringing us this wonderful work. The paradox always seems to be that things appear simple, but are complex, and vice versa, of course. Similarly, with this doc, what is said is fun and simple, but what is really said is a bunch of strong messages about how to interact, run and be part of a business, be creative, what important messages are, the importance of being vulnerable and expressing that vulnerability and humanity timely. What a wonder to have this insight after all these years growing up with the Muppets. Thank you. And that is from Maria. So
that's wonderful. That's so much stuff we all wanted to hear.
And we have some questions coming in from our viewers. So
can you do that first or not?
Well, sure. It'll go to everyone. So I'll stop and I'm going to ask the question, and I'd love to hear what everyone has to say. Ryan Sullivan, who has been awesome in the Below Stage Pass group. Ryan Sullivan, so we want to acknowledge you. He says, I would just like to hear everyone's favorite moments of the whole process from pre-production to the release.
Okay. I'm not
You're
involved.
first, Frank.
I'm asking questions.
Oh, man.
Xana?
Wow. How about when he locked the cut finally?
Yeah, that was pretty great. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think like the last screening for Friends that we had, where we were like, are we done? And everyone watched it and we got really positive feedback, and we were like, I guess we're done. Like, that was probably the best, because you know, we never really had that. We never knew when we were done.
There was no deadline.
And you know, yeah, so we would screen it and get notes and then just keep working forever. But that one last screening that we had actually had a sense of, you know, finality to it that was like, oh, we did it.
Yeah. Anybody else?
But yeah, that was great.
Go ahead. Mine is really similar. Mine was on Friday, actually, when we had, so we've been working towards this. Everybody's laughing because it's a lot of work. Friday was, you know, a crazy day for all of us. Opening up, but it's always my favorite moment in this one, especially because you work in your work and then you put it out there and you don't know what the reaction is going to be. And so Friday, part of what I was doing was monitoring our social feeds and our feedback and answering questions and that kind of thing. And just to see the response to the film, knowing how much I loved it and how much everybody on the team was so passionate about the project. And then when we put it out to the community, just the response that came back at us was, it makes you feel like, wow, you know what, this message that like they get it, and everyone that had seen the film felt the same way that we were feeling about it. So it was a really great moment for me.
Yeah. Victoria, Leslie? Nothing?
Okay, well, I'm the thing that's coming to mind now actually goes all the way back to the beginning. Was actually the day that the two of you took me out to lunch, and it was shortly after your wedding. And I've met Victoria a couple times, didn't know her very well, and Frank said, "Come to lunch with Victoria and me. We'd like to talk to you." And I didn't have any idea what was going on. And so I trotted down to the village and had lunch, and was lovely, pleasant post-wedding conversation, blah, blah, blah. And then we got down to, so, and you told me what you were thinking about, what Victoria's idea was. And I thought it was fantastic. And it was very, very, very exciting at that moment, because I had done a little work at Jim Henson Productions when I was in college. So I knew the people involved. I'd had a little bit of a taste of the kind of being the fly on the wall for some fabulous conversations that Victoria, was talking about, and the idea of putting that on film and actually getting everyone together to do that was just so exciting. And then the flip side of that was when we premiered at South by Southwest. We had a couple of amazing dinners of sort of the whole group of us. Xana was there, the guys were there, Joel, our lawyer, was there, who's been with the project from the beginning. I mean, it was just amazing, and the pressure was off. We'd premiered, it had gone well, and it was just a lovely time. So those sort of were the bookends for me of just the excitement. So by all means, Victoria.
Xana, what was your favorite moment? Oh, you said it already.
Yeah.
It's up to me. All right, so I have a few, but I want to pick up on Leslie's, because it goes back to my comment earlier. It makes me get a little choked up that there are times in life when you don't know if what you're doing is worthwhile. Mm-hmm. We all have that. I don't know if you're writing a novel or you're making a creative choice or a decision to move somewhere, and you don't know. And you don't know until you follow through on it. And it's scary. I mean, there were times when personally I thought, like, what the hell am I doing? This is so much work. I'm not a Muppets fan, but I'm going to have faith that this is important for people, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And we made this film. Leslie's like, we got to get this done. Xana and Leslie and I were all keen to submit to festivals. So Leslie, made sure we met the deadline. We got into South by Southwest, and like the day it was announced, which was the end of January 2017, the New York Times called and they said, "Do you have a photo?" We're like, we didn't have a photo. We
just barely got the submission.
So we're like scrambling, and I'm like, the New York Times, and we ended up at the top of, there are over 5,000 films are submitted for the festival. A few are chosen. We were at the top of the New York Times list to watch out for. I thought, oh my God. And this is just my encouragement to each of you to stick with it. And, not long after, we're there at South by Southwest, like literally 8 weeks later, because it was end of January, and then early March, we're there. And, I think you'll all get the power of this. Like, we got our tickets. Our publicist for that event had a stack of tickets that the company that South by had given him to distribute for us to our friends, because we got extra bonus tickets. And like, here we are. I brought this for you to see. Like, here we are, the actual new movie ticket, and I thought, oh my God, like, we're in a movie theater, the Paramount Theater. It was just so touchy. And then, I'd never done anything like this. And here I saved these. This is Frank's badge. Look at Frank looking so funny.
Thank you.
My hands are, so this was our badge at South by Southwest. And it was just like, it was so exciting to see the world pick up on this. So that then we went quiet after March, because we entertained different distribution options. I'd always wanted to distribute on the net and had been studying internet marketing for the last 7 years to figure out how are we going to get this out to all of you, because there are a lot of moving parts. But that was a year of work as we went quiet. And then, as Abby said, this last Friday was our coming out party to the world, and to see people's responses and to see the press and all of you being touched by it, I can't even tell you what it means.
Great. Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. I think, did you have more? I don't want to cheat the audience if there's any more questions.
We have a lot coming in. Leslie, pick one out from all of these.
Pardon?
I'm going to have Leslie pick one out.
Oh, me? Okay. Goodness. Wow. Hang on a second. Sorry, I hadn't been paying attention to the feed, so picking one out is going to take me a minute to read. If someone wants to jump first, please feel free.
Get some grapefruit juice from the audience.
No. All right.
We have to put Frank in place.
Well, Bill's making fun of you on the internet, Frank.
Oh, well, there you are. Silly. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got a touching moment from Megan McDonald. She cannot say enough about how proud she is of everything and everyone. She hopes we all realize how much we changed her childhood and adult lives. And I'm sure that's directed towards the guys. It makes a ginormous impact. This beautiful project has touched my soul. So just wanted to share that.
That's wonderful.
That's not quite a question. I can scroll down if you'd like to see a question.
Here's one.
Go ahead.
From how are you enjoying? Oops, it's jumping. How are you enjoying seeing the community continue to form around MGT? That's one.
Abby said, yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing from, and I know I haven't been involved nearly as long as you guys have, but it's such an interesting community. Frank has used this word and I never really got it at the beginning of the project, using the word purity. And seeing the purity of intent of not only the project, but the community of, all the responses that we've gotten to the film and all the conversations in the community come from such this pure place. And it's just been really a joy to be a part of and to be part of the discussions and even the technical support questions that we got on Friday of logging in, we're all just beautiful people, really, that are involved in this. And I in any project that I've worked on, it's never been just so fun to interact with the community from my standpoint.
What's so nice is that we're kind of connected because we all the friends in the production work very free to make this. Actually, I'm married to Victoria. Xana is the stepdaughter of Leslie. My director of photography came from London and shot Death at a Funeral from there. I have my other director of photography friend, Rob Hahn, who's a big time photographer in Hollywood. He shot the score and everything else. So it was all kind of a little community of friends. And we didn't have to have strangers come in. It was all friends doing it. It was such a wonderful feeling,
You have a question? I'm sorry, Frank.
Go ahead. Any other questions before I start?
There's one that says, I thought it'd be fun for everyone to answer, including Xana, if you can still hear us here. What's your favorite part of the documentary? We won't give away too many secrets.
I was going to say, what about spoilers here? Goodness.
No, I want to hear Xana, because Xana has gone through miles and miles of footage. So I'm curious what Xana has to say.
My favorite part of what's in it or what isn't in it?
How about well, because we're going to have bonus footage, extra footage. So
we're going to have a lot of bonus extra footage, so they might want to know about that too.
So both.
Well, my favorite part of what's in it is when Dave is trying to make a point and he can't make the point.
Yeah.
And there's my proudest edit in the film is when we cut to a close up of Dave and he just looks so bewildered and lost. And that's my favorite edit in the film.
How about the stuff they haven't seen? All that miles of footage.
All the stuff I haven't seen. I mean, I really love the helicopter story.
Yeah.
That is out. That we did get out. So
that's available for the Below Stage Pass.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. Yeah. Because that is just so amazing to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Leslie and Abby?
There's one moment that every time I watch it, and I don't know, watched the film probably a dozen times at least now. Every time I can't help but grin, and I won't give away exactly what's going on, but basically there's a conversation happening about hard work, and even though you're working hard, you can still have this sense of play and wonder. And it's a clip of Jim and the team, I think, forming a script, and it's just so. You see that everybody's working hard, but you just see the joy behind the work. And that is something that makes me smile every time. And it makes me think when I'm working, like, how can you infuse that level of joy when you're, been working like Friday, we worked long hours. How can you infuse that joy even in those situations? So.
Yeah, that was a script reading. We had it every week, and that was a script reading for the Muppet Show, probably 1978 or something.
But to Abby's point, that she's really been great about this, and Larry and David too. We have what's called a Slack channel. It's a communication system for teams. It's a little like a big group chat. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. Can someone fix the thing in the below stage pass? And we have some people who are having trouble downloading. So we're constantly communicating among us. And, is this page ready? And did you notice this? And so in the middle of all this pressure and all this happening, Abby's posting these funny, statements and little pictures from the Muppets and keeping us all laughing, and Larry and David as well. So this constant humor that's infusing the hard work is just great.
Yeah, it's funny. I am a semi-Luddite, and I thought, okay, we just go to GoDaddy and get a page, and we'll let people know about this. And I'd forgotten the responsibility we have to everybody. And we're talking about, thousands and tens of thousands of people around the world. And I had no idea that we'd need all these talented people. So thank God, like I said, I'm the guy who gets the credit, but I don't do a damn thing. Thank God they do it. So, any other questions? I can go on.
Leslie didn't do her favorite moment.
Oh, my favorite moment of the oh gosh, it's hard to narrow it down. And again, I don't want to do any spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but one of the moments that's in the trailer, Bill's Johnny Fiamma is just fabulous, and that got me every time. And Dave has a couple of moments that also I have seen it hundreds of times, and I still crack up. So I don't want to say anything too more specific that'll blow anything for anybody. It's fun going in and not knowing.
What was the process? This is, to me, I don't even know that much. Having Victoria's the leader of it all, and then Leslie, you're the project manager, and Xana, you're still cutting stuff, and Abby, you're drafting the copywriting. What was the process? Did it start with something we had to do, and then Victoria called you, Leslie, and Leslie, you? What was the process to get all these daily things going?
From the very beginning?
Yeah, or daily, even after the beginning. Just what was the process to communicate, to make sure the other person's getting the job, and then that continues on to the next person to get whatever we need done doing.
That's Leslie being amazing every day. That was from my
perspective. Not so. No, it was a lot of time spent on Zoom conference calls so that we could all get on the same page. So, it was deciding what we wanted to do. And there were when you do it, in a new way, every option's open. And so it takes a long time to decide what path you're going to take. So I think it was a very collaborative effort. I think, Victoria definitely led the way, but it was like, okay, then going here, and how do we get there? And, we had to blaze, blaze some trails sounds a little pretentious, but we certainly had a lot of stuff to figure out.
There's not many movies or documentaries that are released this way. As a matter of fact, why are we releasing it this way and not through Netflix or someplace else?
In fact, I think that was one of the questions that came up here. I'm looking in the feed. We have a little chat feed of questions coming from all of you out there. So thank you for those. And someone asked about that. And, originally we thought it was the most democratic way to get this out to the world. And Frank's real intent here is for it to reach as many people as possible. So on that note, please tell the friends of yours who you think would benefit from this. We'd love to help get it out there. And Frank, we didn't want a big company between us. We didn't want it to feel exclusive, that if you didn't live in a city where there was a theater, you wouldn't be able to see it. The internet is extremely democratizing. Everyone who has an internet connection, and honestly, $10 can see this film. And that was our intent, is to embrace as many people as we could.
Yeah. And people mention online about the $10 charging. I'm thinking, well, we can't give it for free. Two reasons. One is, you fly to Tucson, you got to pay for it. You can't actually just get on the plane and go. And the other thing is, in my opinion, if one doesn't have skin in the game, if I give it for free, which I'd be okay to do, but it doesn't mean as much. If I had a choice, okay, this is for free, even though it's really $1,000, and this costs $20, even though it costs me $5, I'll take the $120 because it must be better. Okay, so that's why I want to charge, is because it means it's going to mean something. Otherwise, it's for free. Yeah, I'll see that some other time. Yeah, that's the reason why we're charging.
Yeah, and there's also, to be completely transparent, and a few of you on the internet picked this up, and we're grateful for that. It is not a small thing to launch a film on your own. There are a lot of costs involved, an enormous amount of costs. This is not something that just happens, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and actually, I'll say I paid for it all, and I really couldn't care less if I lost the money. All I care about is everybody experiencing what Victoria wanted, which is experiencing the honest and authentic way we work together, and that actually there is a way for everybody to work together like that. That's possible. That's the reason we want to do it, you know. Any other questions from people? Or shall I just ask questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Xana, there's some the drawings in there, and people are so impressed by Joe's drawings. Could you remind me even how the drawings came about in the editing process?
Well, we had all the stories about all the elaborate steps that you guys would take to make every shot possible without, visual effects and stuff. And there were a number of times that I would ask you to explain exactly how you guys did it, and you would mime things out for me because we were sitting next to each other. But so we realized that it would be helpful to actually illustrate it for people to really be clear, what exactly you guys did. So I did drawings for a while just as placeholders, but I cannot draw well. So luckily my husband draws very well, and he did drawings for me just as placeholders originally, but then they wound up, working well enough that we ultimately used them in the final piece at the end. But it was really just to make sure that we could, really illustrate these insane, intense situations. Because, it's one thing to hear something, but it's another to see it.
Yeah, and what Joe did is amazing. And again, that's the wonderful part of it. That's Joe is Xana's husband, and it's just all family doing it. It's just great.
And Leslie's husband helped with the sound, so we forgot to mention that. Leslie's husband, who's Xana's dad.
Oh, that's right. Xana's dad, Ron Bokar, did this.
Kept it all in the family. What can we say?
It's fantastic.
It was
my dog kept me company.
Abby's husband's involved too. So
Casey. Hey, Abby. Let me ask you two questions. One is, what has been the difference between drafting copy for this project and previous projects? And would you, as a result of this, be drafting copy differently for the next projects?
Yeah, so this is something I've talked about with some of my colleagues because I'm used to working with people that are in my world, so in the copywriting world. So my editors, the people looking at the copy have the same perspective as I do. And it's been really interesting. Somebody was asking me what it was like, what kind of edits, what kind of feedback do I get from you, Frank? And I said, it's really fascinating because instead of giving me, and you see this in the film as well, when you talk about different directorial approaches, and on your Twitter, I've seen you talk about this, but instead of giving me like, change this to this, change this to this, you'll say things like, oh, what if we made this email a little more rebellious? And thinking about it in that way has been really an exercise in creativity for me. That's been really fun of when I approach it, or you'll say, imagine that you're writing to this person, which is such a different way of getting edits than I've ever gotten before. And it's made me think about my writing in a new way. Instead of, you said something, I think yesterday on a call, of instead of thinking of it, the strategies and the things that come from our experience, is let's think about our audience first. And it's really the best way to approach this. And it's grounded me in that. And it's been a really great experience for me.
Oh, great. We've been talking seriously about everything, except for one thing is answer. What is the funniest thing in MuppetGuysTalking.com? Victoria? There's a lot of funny stuff.
It's so funny.
People are strange.
This is a good insight into Frank. He's so sweet because he's really got a hang of the internet thing, but every so often he goes, come see our movie, MuppetGuysTalking.com. And it's like, no, that's the website. The movie's actually just called Muppet Guys Talking. So for those of you who are hearing the interviews we've done, Frank says, and see our movie, MuppetGuysTalking.com.
I am so lousy at selling, and it's the only way I can get people to see this. So I'm not great at this. Anyway, what's the funniest stuff you remember, either in it, throughout the entire project? What was the funniest stuff that happened, either in the movie or on the footage, or?
Making of or in the movie?
Yeah.
Huh?
In the making of or in the movie?
Doesn't matter. You know, this morning when you woke up, I don't know. No, anything with the Muppet guys. Anything with the Muppet guys.
Leslie, you want to jump in on that?
The instant thing flashed to mind. It was a South by Southwest thing, but it was when Bill decided to climb across the table at dinner that night. That was kind of fun. That had me laughing for days.
He climbed across the table. He climbed across the table to eat something off of Frank's fork.
That was it. Yes, exactly. So
that's Bill Beretta, who does Pepe, who does Johnny Fiamma, who does Bubble. That is Bill. Yeah.
And Dave's window shades in the movie is one of my favorite moments.
There's a note that says Bill Beretta is watching.
Sorry, Bill.
Sorry, Bill.
Well, does he have a question, or is he just going to annoy us?
He just wants us to know what he's watching.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, I think, as Anna referred to it, there's this wonderful section where Dave is unable to express an idea and it keeps coming out. There's some funny footage. I think we're going to include it in the interviews. I did these interviews against the Gray Wall. Some of you have seen these. And some of the guys were messing with each other while I was doing the interviews. And it's just, they are like this, whether they're on camera or off, whether they're crawling across a table at South by Southwest where there's no camera, or whether they're on camera, whether they're just talking like when we did the press last week. It was just that spirit. So you'll see that in the film. And I think the other pieces, I referred to it already, is the ending, which is just this joyous, collaborative riffing and giving Frank a really hard time. And there's another moment, one more that's really funny is Dave does this hilarious imitation of Frank's voice. And it's funny because I live with Frank and I sometimes hear this when he picks up the phone. Like, he's so embarrassed. And so Dave does this imitation of Frank picking up the phone, and it just cracks everyone up.
It does.
It's true. It's true. It's all true.
Davey, Billy has a question. Is that right?
Yes, he does. He wants to know why you don't know how to wear glasses, Frank.
Would you tell Billy that he's wasted our time with something so unfunny? That was not worth our time, Bill. That's the best you could do? Okay. So we only have about 8 minutes left.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I know. It's going fast. So I guess one question I have is on this project, when everybody, works together like this so well, how do you take that spirit that we worked, and then as this project ends, how do you take that spirit and bring it out to other people in the world? Because it's great with each other, but trying to find those particular people who are simpatico to this way it's hard for people to understand that you can actually be this way. Mm-hmm. How do you do that?
Well, I can just talk about what I've seen you interview people over many, many years, Frank, and you. It sounds silly to say it, but it's incredibly useful. Your sense of humor and your ability to get in there really early with meeting someone with it was just something completely outrageous or completely funny or just out of left field. And you can tell if the person laughs or if they get really, really scared or if they get defensive. And I think that bringing humor in and trusting someone to catch the joke you're throwing and seeing, that's just something I've learned watching you over the years. And it's incredible. And it's warm and inviting and sets a tone right from the beginning that lets people know that it's okay to have fun.
Yeah, I find it very difficult to, sorry to put my part, I find it very difficult to be normal every day because that is boring. And as long as one doesn't hurt people, every time I leave a hotel and they say, "Oh, just stay." And I said, "It's been a hellhole. I'll never come back here ever again." And that wakes them up completely. And then all of a sudden they're alive again, So
yeah, taking a chance with humor is huge.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're wrapping up here. Anything else you guys want to say?
I was just going to say, to Leslie's point, beyond that, injecting the humor, it's taking the work seriously, but not taking yourself seriously. And you see that in the film. And we had that throughout this project of, when you get into it, it's really difficult to lose perspective. And I think it's important to keep that, and you get that in the film where everybody was so passionate about the work, and you talk about working long hours, but that doesn't mean that you have to be serious head down all the time. And for me personally, taking that forward and saying, you can try to be the best at your craft and produce the best product you can without having to be, a stick in the mud about it either.
Yeah, I think part of the reason, a great reason why you all can do this is because you're all at the top of their game. It's the people who don't have a big toolbox, who don't have the abilities that you guys do. And I say guys, I mean women, guys. I think those are the people who can't take things lightly. They've got to be serious. But once you have such a big toolbox like you guys do, when anything happens, you can grab a tool and take care of it. Mm-hmm. Then I think you can have fun with it, as long as you know your craft like you guys do. I think that's really important.
Well, it's being open to learning too, because sometimes you don't have the tool and you just have to be willing to ask for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was a great moment during the project when we were talking about the extra footage, and it was, I can't remember if it was Victoria or someone on the team was like, please explain to me the difference between deleted scenes, outtakes. And it was just moments like that of not being afraid to say, I don't know this part of the project. Can somebody who knows something, without feeling like you're going to feel stupid for asking.
Yeah, exactly. Victoria, I know, she said she studied for years and years to help this along as far as getting it launched. And yet she entered this thing not knowing. She's a leader, but as the biggest mistake people make is they feel they have to go forward knowing, when really the best thing is to go forward not knowing. And Victoria had it both. She knew and she didn't know.
Well, and that's really it. I helped assemble this team by bringing on people I knew a lot more than me in their areas. And then I try to not get in the way. I sometimes get in the way. I try best to step back and let everyone's expertise come out and sort of throw out the idea and say, what do you guys think? And let everyone do their job. And that is really, I think, also something that I'm still learning from Jim in a way, Jim Henson. I keep learning from the messages of the film. And he let people do their thing. He brought the right group in. He was a harvester of people, as the film says. And from there, he let people's genius come out. He let them be their best self. And I think that's what this team has done. This is an extraordinary group. This is a world-class, group of people who are just gunning to get this film to you, for all of you to please see it, to not just watch the trailer. And by the way, go watch the trailer. Mark Valentine cut this trailer together. People are watching it 12 times. So if you've not gone to MuppetGuysTalking.com to watch the trailer, that alone is worth it. But people go there and they see the genius of everyone's work. And it's just terrific to be part of this.
Yeah. Even though, Xana, we thought for years this thing would never end.
Yeah.
Right?
I was convinced to be on this until I was 55.
Well, I think
And what are you, 54 now?
we're wrapping
Getting there.
Guys, is there anything else each of us wants to say? Because we're wrapping up. Anybody?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge everyone who's a part of this. And that's the production team going back to the beginning. That's the launch team that's involved right now. And that's all of you out there who are watching this live, who are watching the replay, who are part of this. We're so happy to have you on board.
And grateful we're here.
Yeah. Xana, Abby, anything? Nope.
Same thing.
Well, I miss you, Frank. I haven't seen you in forever.
You miss me. Wow, what a change of events.
we used to spend every weekend together.
Every weekend, and without your husband knowing. Okay, guys, listen, thank you so much. I'll just say the last thing, which is, all the stuff you see in Muppet Guys Talking is actually true. It's just who we are. And we just want to share that with you because that's how we learned from Jim Henson. And we're not putting anything on. We're just who we are. And that's who Jim was. And he taught us so much. And the most important thing, he taught us was just to stay open and let things blossom instead of forcing things, So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Xana.
Thank you.
Guys talking.
Bye, guys.
Bye.